Something wonderful has happened. Annie, I'm pregnant.
Yes, The Rise of Skywalker, the most disappointing film of 2019, in my opinion. Now, if you hadn't watched my last video, the last video I did, I can't believe it, I've uploaded 2 days in a row, was a tier list of all the Star Wars movies. Now, one comment jumped out in particular, he's a good friend of mine, saying that I need to show Rise of Skywalker a little bit more love. So this is a video in response to that, because jokingly, him and I have argued over the last several months of whether this is a good or bad movie. So this is going to be my platform to pretty much speak my mind of everything that I hate about this movie. And it's quite a lot. So let's get right into it. Now let me just start out by saying I did not initially dislike the crawl of this movie, and I still really don't mind it. I'm just going to use it as my first example to really just shut down an argument that a lot of people say. Because a lot of people say when you pick out the plot holes and the elements of this movie that really don't fit, a lot of people will respond, well, you didn't read the viewer's guide, or you didn't do this and do the research about this. Guess what? If a movie's plot adds up and it adds up well, you shouldn't need all these other references to lean in and learn about this movie. And with this crawl, I love it. It just shows a great example, because it starts out with saying the dead speak, the voice of Emperor Palpatine is heard, and viewers of this movie on initial viewing might be a little bit confused. And while yes, a lot of Star Wars movies do this, where they'll kind of just refer to a lot of things that have happened off screen, but this literally refers to something in Fortnite, a kid's game, by a matter of fact. And Fortnite did this crossover event with Star Wars, and I'm showing a little bit of a clip here, and I wonder why they did this exactly. And because of this, I feel like this overall leaves your movie feeling like almost this sloppy mess, because it doesn't really matter that you have a reader's guide or all these other things connecting into your film if your fan base has this sense of confusion because they just watched the movie. Is it really that put together? Alright, so now let's actually get into the movie itself. Now, I really don't have many problems with the first act of this movie in the setup. There is a few things that I really don't like, how they really kind of give the big reveal away at the very beginning of the movie. And if you didn't know, like, from the first 10 minutes what the reveal of in this movie is, you're just really not paying attention. That and the side characters in this movie might as well be pushed so far to the side that they might as well not be in there in the first place. Primarily Finn. Finn is supposed to be our co-lead, and he's really not reduced. He's reduced to almost nothing in this movie. His character, again, like I said in the previous video, his character arc is solved in that first movie where he learns how to not run away. And just, it seems like in the last two movies, they don't know what to do with Finn, and it's really sad because this movie really doesn't know what to do with Finn, and he might as well not be there. Now, where my real frustrations begin with this movie is when they get to the Festival of the Ancestors into the second act, kind of actually at the end of the first. But this is where my problems begin to arise. It's right after this, because Rey arrives at this festival with all these weird-looking octopus aardvark creatures, and she's talking to them, and a small little child one approaches her, and she asks Rey her name, and Rey obviously does not have a last name because she doesn't know her parents. And this is where you really reveal, yes, the twist that is really hinted at in the beginning. I'm not trying to spoil anything. You know what? It's really happening now, and it's so obvious because Star Wars needs everything to connect, and I really do not like that personally. It just makes your universe feel really small and uneventful when you're really just focusing on one certain area of this universe and nothing else can expand outside of that. So then our gang with Rey and Finn, they leave this festival, right? And so they find the Sith dagger, and pretty much they're boarding a ship, and then Rey's like,
Nah.
I can't board this ship because I sense Kylo Ren because they're joined with the Force. I actually really like this in this movie. It plays out with a lot of cool fight scenes and stuff. But it also introduces another problem, because it says at the beginning of the movie that Palpatine has been speaking to Kylo. It is every voice he has heard in his head, because Palpatine is that powerful. Makes sense, right? But why can't Palpatine sense that Kylo is trying to tempt Rey to betray Palpatine? That's where the logic really starts to kind of fall through. But besides that, that's not what I was even going for. So they leave this festival and they're boarding on a ship, but Rey says nah. But this allows Chewbacca to get captured because Chewbacca doesn't get on the ship either, which then allows for Kylo and Rey to fight out, and they kind of force pull on this ship to where the reveal happens where Rey force strikes the ship with lightning. Now this actually plays out fine. I do like this. I thought this was the best way they could have revealed it because it was pretty cool. But it fakes out the Chewie death. Now, it would have been great because we would have lost one of our main characters, really the last main character besides Leia. We'll get to that. In this trilogy, we thought we lost Chewie. It was an emotional loss, but it fakes it out. And it really doesn't fake it out for long. It fakes it out for a solid 10 minutes at that. And again, I hate how they're not taking risk in this movie whatsoever. They have to play it so much by the book, play it so safe, and you cannot earn rewards if you don't take any risk. But then again, after this, we get through another huge part of the movie that I'm kind of okay with. The whole gang breaks into Kylo Ren's Star Destroyer, and again, we have another battle scene with Rey and Kylo using their Force connectivity, and they save Chewie. And I'm really okay with this. But then after that, they pretty much fly away and they land on this little planet that the gravitational pull is kind of weird, and we have these weird horse tribal people where, again, my problems come right back. Because Finn gets another love interest, or I don't know what they're supposed to be. Honestly, I am so confused with Finn's love life. First movie, you think he likes Rey, but then she denies him, and he's like that sad, nerdy high school boy who got stood up at the prom. Second movie, he gets Rose, and where is Rose in this movie? I'm pretty sure she has a whopping of 3 lines. And now we have this girl that might be Lando's daughter. Great. But this is where my problems begin to arise yet again. So this is the point of the video where I am going to throw spoilers out of the window. I kind of realize now that I already said that they faked out Chewie's death, but besides that, I think I've done a pretty good job. But from this point on, I'm literally going to spoil the whole plot. So the whole point of this movie is, Kylo Ren gets to Exegol, or whatever it's called, in the big Sith planet. This is where Palpatine's at. So then all the light-sided people, they're like, you know what, we need to get to Exegol too. So they're trying to find the Wayfinder to get to Exegol, and this is where they find it. They find it on this planet, and so Rey finds it, and then Kylo snatches it out of her hand, and then we get a Kylo-Rey fight scene because Kylo breaks the Wayfinder, saying, the only way you're going to get to Exegol is through me, trying, again, to tempt her to portray Palpatine with him. So then we get their fight scene. This fight scene, again, is pretty cool. So they're fighting. There's waves. Yeah, there's waves. But then Rey kills Kylo. And then earlier in the movie, we saw that Rey can use her Force to heal people, or worm snakes, or whatever. She heals this worm. But now she uses her heal powers to heal Kylo. Along with this, what allowed her to get the striking blow is Princess Leia Force talked to Kylo. And that was the last thing she could do. She used all her power, the movie said, and she dies. This is a complete waste of Leia's death, in my opinion. Why couldn't you do it in the last movie? when Kylo couldn't fire the last shots, I think if he fired that shot and even killed his mother after killing his father, that really proves that he's an evil dude, and that really builds his character. But no, now Leia dies to kind of kill her son. Kind of. Not really. We'll get to that. But yeah, she force talks to Kylo, Rey kills him, then heals him, and brings him back to life. To where then Rey leaves and flies to exit. Now, while Rey is doing this, we kind of flash back to see Kylo speaking to Han Solo. I am not okay with this. Why is that? Because Han Solo is in this movie for the sake of Han Solo being in this movie. It is strictly fanfare, and as we move into this last act, this is where the movie really suffers for me, because it does fan service and fanfare completely wrong, because it tries way too hard. But Kylo talks to his father, and it is a really touching scene. I'm not going to take that away from him. But why doesn't he talk to Leia? The person who just died, to talk to him? Because this is a huge changing point in Kylo's mentality, because after this point, guess what? Kylo changes and turns to the light side. So if Leia just used all her power to speak to Kylo, why doesn't she talk to him rather than Han? I understand kind of why it's Han. I'm not saying it doesn't make any sense, but I just think it would have been a lot better to have his mother talk to him in this scene. And then we get to pretty much our last large battle scene. And for the most part, it's okay. It's okay, there's a whole bunch of spaceships. It shows that, the galaxy is still united with the rebellion. You get a few more Kylo and Rey little Force connection battles, which is pretty cool, where they're actually on the same side using this Force connection. And we also get, what's that? Horses on a spaceship? Yeah, that's too easy to nitpick. We got horses on a spaceship. So then we get to the part of this movie where, frankly, I can just not forgive. So, pretty much Rey and Kylo are now standing on the same side, together as one. They're about to fight Palpatine, which I guess is finally enough information for Palpatine to realize, yeah, they're Force connected. Probably I should have realized that at the beginning of the movie, and maybe I wouldn't have this problem. But luckily for Palpatine, he realizes, I can kind of just drain their life force, is what it looks like. And I can become a whole person again, like Pinocchio. He's a real boy. So he does this, then sends Kylo flying and sends him almost into this bottomless pit, where he says, your ancestors killed me, into the pit with you. And so now Rey and Palpatine are about to duke it out one-on-one, because guess what? All the Sith now live in Palpatine, but all the Jedi now live in Rey, which pretty much they have this intense stare down, but Rey wins the stare down and kills Palpatine. So climactic. But this, because Rey uses all her power from all the Jedi, this pretty much drives her to die as well, which then we see Kylo's hand crawl out of said pit, and he goes and force heals Rey, which I am fine with this. Movie cuts here, we're A-okay, but no, that is not what happens. Because it's Star Wars, our two main leads have to kiss. Let me tell you, this makes me want to vomit, because there is zero chemistry between these two out in any movie out of the three, and now we are just forced to believe that Rey is meant to be with Kylo, not Poe, not Finn, not the thick boy from Jakku.
60 portions.
No, she's supposed to be with Kylo. Did I miss something? I feel like I missed something. So then after they kiss, pretty much I guess the kiss shook Kylo more than it shook me watching it in the theaters, because he dies. Congratulations, Star Wars, you just killed off your best character in the sequel trilogy for this. But then luckily for us, we get a nice little montage of the galaxy living happily ever after, then followed by Rey going to Tatooine, to Luke's old home, to see the double moon, and for her to be asked what her last name is, for her to respond,
Rise Skywalker.
Man, you gotta be kidding me. You telling me people waited 43 years for that?